All right, today we're going to talk about something really powerful. We're digging into what happens when family responsibility crosses a line and becomes a massive financial burden, turning a loved one into what our source calls a human ATM.
Wow, okay, this one line from the source material just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? I mean, just imagine being raised with that expectation that your main purpose in life isn't to be a person, but to be a provider.
So that's a pretty heavy metaphor, right? The human ATM. Let's actually break down what it really means to be seen that way.
And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. A person, a human being, is no longer seen as an individual with their own feelings, their own dreams, their own limits. Instead, they just become a machine, a utility. Their value becomes purely transactional, measured only by the cash they can provide.
You know, this whole idea is really propped up by this huge societal belief that a person's worth is directly tied to how much they earn. If you can't provide money, your value, in the eyes of some, just plummets.
And this is where things get really, really important. There's a world of difference between willingly taking on responsibility for your loved ones, which is a noble thing that builds strong bonds, and having that very idea of responsibility twisted and misused against you. One builds you up. The other is a weapon for exploitation that causes unbelievable mental strain.
So what happens when that line gets crossed? When responsibility isn't just a choice, but a demand? Well, it comes with a massive price tag. Let's dig into the hidden costs of all this pressure.
And the consequences are absolutely devastating. We're not talking about a little bit of stress here. We're talking about this intense, crushing, constant mental pressure that just wears a person down. It makes them feel less like a human and more like a machine. And the source is clear. That kind of strain can even push people to do things they never thought they would.
And to really bring this home, the commentary shares a super personal story. The author talks about watching her own father carry this dual burden, trying to pay for his family's expenses while also trying to pay for his own education at the same time. It's a really powerful first-hand look at this incredible weight.
So in the middle of all that pressure, what was the one thing that made a difference? And this is the key point. It was empathy. The author says it was her mother's understanding that actually helped her father get through it all. It just goes to show you that emotional support is really the only antidote.
Okay, so this whole thing, it just makes you wonder, right? Where does this cycle of expectation even come from? Who's creating all this pressure?
Well, according to the source, it can come from a few places. Sometimes it starts with parents who raise a son thinking of him as their retirement plan. Then it can be spouses who might see marriage as a ticket to a life of luxury. And it doesn't stop there. It even extends to society and the legal system, where some people can manipulate loopholes for their own financial gain.
Now, it's really important to point out that this isn't exclusively a male issue. Not at all. The commentary makes it very clear that as more women gain financial independence, a lot of them are finding themselves in the exact same boat, being treated like an ATM by their own families.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem, we've looked at where it comes from, so what's the solution? Where do we even begin to fix this? The final section is all about that, a call to completely change how we think about our relationships.
And the solution really is simple in concept, but huge in practice. It's about seeing relationships as true partnerships, not as business transactions. A relationship should be built on mutual support and connection, not just a one-way flow of money.
And that really boils down to what our true responsibility to each other should be. First, just don't treat anyone like an ATM. But it's also about remembering that you promise to walk through life's challenges together. It's about sharing the pressures, not just piling them all onto one person's shoulders.
And so, the whole thing ends with this one big, lingering question for all of us. It's a pretty sobering thought, because it really makes you think about how deep this problem runs, you know? When will we actually see each other as true equals, not just as assets? It's definitely something to think about.